Hi, I'm Tony Russo, and this is Brief Introduction from Kates-Boylston, where we talk to funeral experts about their expertise. This week, we're speaking with Cole Waybright. He is the Vice President of Sales Optimization at Homesteaders Life Company, and he's going to talk about breaking down silos, ways that we can reimagine the different ways of reaching out to families so that we cover as many bases as possible, I guess is the best way to put it. Actually, the best way to put it is to let Cole tell you himself. So let's get right into it. Here's Cole. We are going to talk for a little bit about your upcoming presentation. But before we get to that, I'd like to talk a little bit about what made you think of this as a presentation that you would like to make. Like where does the idea from this come from? What is a problem that you identified and then solved?
Sure. A great question. And, it's amazing to me day in, day out, after being in the industry for a period of time now, seeing the ever-changing technology solutions that are out there. It feels like there's new companies entering the space all the time. And I think there's also a pressure on funeral homes and those within the industry to incorporate technology, but maybe in that excitement of the new thing or trying to grab that new feature, they oftentimes maybe miss the bigger picture and ultimately end up creating maybe more work for themselves than it was intended to. Technology is supposed to make our lives easier, not necessarily create more work for us. So something I've just seen over time with different groups, that want to be progressive, that want to really embrace technology, but can oftentimes be a two-edged sword if they don't think about that integration and how they work together.
So it's funny because I'm a writer by trade, and I'm every 15 or 20 minutes, they throw this new thing at me that'll make and for me, it's easy because it's just me by myself. So if I try something, it doesn't work, toss it out. Or if I try something, I'm like, oh, this does double duty, I can get rid of it. But funeral homes don't shift that easily. And once you put something in, it's hard to take it out, or it's hard to get to not get bogged down by it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of times these technologies are really focused on a specific task or a specific thing. If you think about whether it's case management or memorialization or webcasting, whatever that may be, a lot of times they're really focused on one thing, but they still all need maybe some sort of common denominators of data to stand them up, make them work, to have the pieces that come out cohesive,
Mm.
which is, to your point, maybe hard to get away from in certain circumstances.
I actually did a story not too long ago about a company, and one of their things is they have like a really high bar for what they can and can't integrate with. And that's the reason, because if you just let everybody through the door, then you've got the app store, and nobody wants that. And so what are some simple examples of ways that, funeral homeowners can be careful about this and maybe address it in their own places of business?
Sure. I think number one is anytime you're looking for some sort of technology solution, really coming into it with an idea of the intent that you're trying to get out of that technology, but also making sure you're very aware and asking the right questions around maybe current technologies you have in place and how they either play well together or may not, and what other solutions there may be to get those efficiencies between the systems. So just being kind of prepared. It's easy to get caught up in the moment, especially if it's one of those technologies that gets presented to you on a whim, or you take a meeting and then all of a sudden you get really excited about this shiny new object,
Yeah.
but don't necessarily think about the current processes, systems, things you have in place and how one may affect the other. So I think that's kind of a big one for me just right off the bat.
And it's weird because the other thing that very few funeral homes have is an IT department where, again, if I want something, I can just say, hey, does this work? And they'll say, no, that doesn't work. Or yes, that does work.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes, especially at a lot of independent funeral homes. I come from a family funeral home, and you're a little bit of everything, from car washer to the director to the person picking up the phone in the middle of the night. You're kind of the jack of all trades. So to your point, there's not necessarily that dedicated person that's solely looking out for the best intentions in technology.
Right. And it's also kind of like that office joke where you're like, well, if I do this once, does that mean that I'm the expert?
Right. Right. Get labeled really quick.
Yeah. So when you do these presentations or presentations like this, what are some common questions that you get asked? Like, what's a question that you know you're going to get once you're done with your presentation?
Usually it's the form of a very direct, specific question of, do you know if this system works with this system?
Yeah.
And while I'm familiar with a lot of the systems out in the industry, not an expert on each individual ones, but I think, more so I get the generalized questions around, how do I avoid the trap? How do I avoid this, being 6 months down the road and then realizing, looking back at the additional work I've created for myself, and to your point earlier, being stuck in a position where I
Yeah.
don't feel like I can just get rid of it. So a lot of questions around those things. What are just some of the little tips and things that I have in mind leading into a search for a solution that may save you some headaches in the future?
And is there anything that you tend to recommend that works better than other things? Like, do you have a particular platform you're fond of, or anything like that?
I mean, there's a lot of great platforms out there. I like there's definitely some that play a pivotal role in doing some analysis around the differences between different stuff out there today. I'm also one that likes to kick it old school a little bit, and draw up kind of your decision matrix and really think about, as you're leading into those type of discovery calls or begin researching those things, what are you actually trying to solve, and listing those things out. What do you hope to get out of a solution that you're looking to implement? Because it's going to be very different for every situation. Just going into it, before you ever look at a piece of technology or meet with a great salesperson who's going to talk about everything that their system can do, really making sure that you're very clear in your mind what those outcomes that you really hope to get are, and really just even writing them down, creating a decision matrix, start weighting, kind of which ones are more important than others, because there's very rare times that you're going to find the perfect solution that hits all of your marks completely.
Hmm.
If you can hit a high number of them, then it's oftentimes a win.
So you mentioned there's a bunch of companies that offer. There's a new one that just came out. I forget what it's called now. It's called Easy Ends, NZZ. It's by Russell Westbrook. He's a basketball player.
Yes. Yeah.
And what I wonder is there a world where there's like, is how often should I have to cut and paste? That answer should be something like never, right? Or very rarely.
Right.
And that's because I think that's where the breaking the silos comes apart, where you put something in and then it's there and whoever needs it gets it.
Absolutely. And today, more so than ever, I think we have the unique abilities with technology and the progression of technology, whether it's external connectors, where many of these companies now are integrating. You see, even within the industry and outside the industry, how there are companies kind of rolling up, great solutions and trying to create a more comprehensive offering to folks. So those things are becoming more prevalent. It shouldn't, to your point, be one of those things where you get caught in a silo, but it still happens. It still happens today. And again, because I think there's such just a boom in, understanding that there's a need for this in the space. And a lot of people are trying to get into it.
Yeah, excellent. And really, that is all I have for you, unless you have something else for me. Is there something I should have asked and didn't, or something you thought you'd get the opportunity to say, but I didn't provide it?
No, really, this has been great, Tony. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to being with the group, and hopefully the attendees getting a lot out of this session.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That was Cole Waybright. To see some of the other presentations that we give, both live and in person, please visit events.Kates-Boylston.com and check out our upcoming events roster. Lots of good stuff coming up. And that will do it for me for now. This has been a Kates-Boylston production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo. Please subscribe wherever you're listening now. If you're listening on your computer, grab up your phone and type in Funeral Service Insider, which will allow you to subscribe to all of the podcasts we produce here at Kates-Boylston. That will do me for this time. I will check in with you on Friday with, in case you missed it, a roundup of the week's news. Take care.